Joining me now, radio legend Ray Hadley. Ray, great to see you.
Great to be with you, Sherry. Great.
Now, you're really angry about the federal senators on both sides who've voted down an inquiry into the fatal death of 4 Australian Defence personnel. They were on a chopper when it crashed in July 2023. There should obviously be an inquiry into this.
Well, look, how it started, Jim Jeffries, the noted comedian, Australian-based in LA, is the uncle of one of the deceased pilots, Lieutenant Max Nugent. But 3 other men lost their lives. Captain Daniel Lyon, Warrant Officer Class 2 Joseph Philip Laycock, and Corporal Alexander Naggs. So we had a commission of inquiry last year, headed up by Margaret McMurdo. I gave evidence at that inquiry because my wife is a personal friend of young Max's parents, and I'd spoken to Max about the frailties of the chopper after a crash at Jervis Bay. And he said to me, this top owl visor, I didn't know what a top owl visor was, but it's apparently a visor that they wear, which all the information on the control panel is in front of them at night, so they can see in really bad conditions, it was really bad night that night. But then a retired test pilot called Ian Wilson gave evidence and said, from time to time, the top owl inverted. It'd give the information upside down. So we had this inquiry, and then there was a thought by Comcare that there'd be a prosecution of the Department of Defence via the Commonwealth DPP. They didn't. 5 days before the statute of limitations expired on this matter, they wrote to all the families and said, we're not having this dealt with, we won't be prosecuting the department. So there was a vote in the Senate last Friday to determine what information should be shown. The advice from the DPP, and remarkably a deal was done, a dirty deal was done between Labor and Liberal. So those who voted no, there were I think 23 or so
Labor senators.
Yeah, they voted no, and 6 or 7 Liberal senators. Abstaining were 20 Liberal National Party senators, 6 Labor senators, and can you believe Jackie, the great defender of the Defence Force, Jackie Lambie, she abstained as well. It was left to One Nation, Pauline Hanson, the Greens and David Pocock to say yes, it should go ahead. So this all started with an article in the Saturday Telegraph by Jim Jeffries. I followed it up in the Telegraph today. I've just received a note on the way to the show that the people from the Commonwealth DPP have now reached out to the 4 families to in some way explain, look, it's a cover-up. You see,
you can understand why Jim Jeffries is calling it a conspiracy, because why would politicians of both sides vote down an inquiry? We need to know why Australian servicemen were killed.
They said in the inquiry it was because of spatial disorientation. Now, the point's been made by many people who are experts, not me, that if it was caused by spatial disorientation, the crash, meaning they couldn't see what they were doing in those, well, the spatial disorientation is controlled by top owl. And they got rid of the choppers, by the way. They've been packed away. They've gone. We've ordered Black Hawk, but we still, you know, this is really dreadful when we see the federal government give a person over $2 million after a few hours of meetings, and you've got 4 families, wives, children, mothers, fathers, siblings, who've lost 4 wonderful men, and somehow Susan Lee and the Liberal government agree to this conspiracy. It's just that they're all complicit, bar the Greens, One Nation and David Pocock.
Well,
it's just disgraceful.
We need to get, or maybe the Telegraph needs to get onto all of them, and we need an explanation of what's gone on here, because it's not good enough.
It's just terrible. I mean, really, 4 young men lost their lives in the most despicable circumstances. They probably shouldn't have been flying. They were overtired and they were in dreadful conditions, but it was an exercise with the US. And I'm tipping the Army Air Wing bosses were saying, oh, we can't tell the US we're not willing to fly because it's a really important exercise.
Whatever it is, we need to get to the bottom of it. They deserve that.